Let's Achieve Change is a podcast by Pamela Grove, Doctor of Physical Therapy, Pain and Movement Specialist of Metanoia Education and Wellness Center. My goal is to make you aware of various health and wellness topics. Every 2 weeks, Let's Achieve Change will appear with episodes with various topics with interviews and narratives, especially as it pertains to health and wellness and chronic pain and disability. I propose to be the voice for those silent sufferers out there. If you'd like to learn more about Let's Achieve Change or Metanoia Education Wellness Center, please visit our website at changeachieve.com. Hello, thank you for joining me today on Let's Achieve Change. I'm Pamela Grove, Doctor of Physical Therapy, Pain and Movement Specialist of Metanoia Education and Wellness Center. Listen, if you want to make some changes, you have tuned into the right podcast. Now listen, don't forget to hit that notification button so that you can subscribe and you won't miss any future episodes on some changes you might want to make. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Let's Achieve Change. I'm so excited. I feel as if it's been weeks since I've been on and I've missed you guys. So for the next several episodes, I will be doing a series on autoimmune disorders. And this is a subject that we can probably take months to talk about, and we wouldn't even be able to really scratch the surface because it's just so much information. It affects so many different people, and there's so many out there at this point, autoimmune disorders that are really growing more and more on the scene. But because of sake of time, I'm going to try to do probably 6 episodes. I will be bringing on guests of different ages, different racial diversities, and different geographic areas, just so that the public is to see how vast in the ranges of all the individuals that are really being affected by autoimmune disorders. Before I really bring on the guests, I do want to go into a little bit of history of a little bit about some of the research and exactly what are autoimmune disorders. My goal over the next several weeks is just to pretty much offer the public a little bit more information on the subject, as well as getting you to feel a little bit more about what some of these patients are going through. I think we really don't have a good sense because I don't want to ever come off to be so simplistic that, oh, it's just this and we just do this. It's very involved for most of these patients. And I think it's just worthy of them sharing their stories. So now let's go on and talk a little bit more about what are autoimmune disorders. You might be wondering, what are autoimmune disorders? This is when disease occurs because our healthy tissues cannot determine the difference between healthy and unhealthy tissue. And so they attack themselves. Over 100 autoimmune disorders now reporting in the country, affecting greater than 24 million people. So let's name the top 10. Let's see, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, celiac disease, Sjögren's syndrome, ankylosing spondylitis, diabetes type 1, rheumatica, polymyalgia. Let's see, the thyroid condition affecting Hashimoto's and Graves' disease, multiple sclerosis, and alopecia areata. So what do we know? The general consensus among the scientists is that, first of all, the genetics have not changed over the last 100 years. Definitely have been a change in our environmental toxins as well as our internal stressors. So let's just address some of the things that have changed. So we have increased chemicals through industrialization, people eating more processed food, our diets are more higher in fat, salt, and sugars. People are more vitamin D deficient, more exposure to smoking, and there are definitely more anxiety disorders. So what's the conclusion? We definitely need more research to try to figure out how we can identify these genetic markers and to decrease the risk. But in the meantime, we need to do what? We need to address the environmental toxins as much as possible and to definitely deal with our internal stressors. So good afternoon. We have Tatyana present today, and I'm so excited that she was willing to come forth. Tatyana is, you said 28, you told me earlier. So Tatyana is 28 years old, and she has several diagnoses that I really feel is pertinent to what we're trying to do at this point. She is a woman of color as well as some other ones that was on earlier, and I want to just give her opportunity to share her story. So every now and then, Tatyana, I might interrupt you to keep us on point with some of the scripted questions, but I do want you to feel comfortable, and I want you to feel as if you can be honest, okay? All right? Okay, thank you. So first of all, Tatyana, what are some of the diagnoses that you have as of now?
Lupus, interstitial lung disease, fibromyalgia, and mixed connective tissue disease.
My God, oh, that's crazy. Okay, all right. So, when do you feel? I'm sure you had problems way before you were diagnosed, correct?
Yes.
So, when did you feel you started having some things happen that you didn't feel was quite normal? Can you talk to us about that?
So, it really started when I was young. We went to Disney World, and I got a Mickey Mouse sticker, face painting, and it peeled my skin off.
Oh my gosh!
And then going through like elementary and middle school, I was always active, playing basketball and everything, but I would get really sore.
Okay.
Me as a child, I'm just thinking it's from just me playing sports.
Right.
All along, it was the lupus and the fibromyalgia.
Wow.
But we didn't understand that's what it was.
Right. So you had the thing happen at Disney World. You had that happen, and then you would continue to be active, and you had more and more pain, and so when did you finally sought medical attention for it? These complaints.
It was in middle school because my skin it peels, it falls off like I've been burned or something.
Oh my God! Yeah.
And so we started doing a lot of biopsies and going to the doctors trying to figure out why my skin is doing that. And that was the main thing that made us get or seek doctor's attention.
Exactly, because that was very that was very interesting. Like, why is that happening to me? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so, what areas would the skin peel off? You remember that?
Any and everywhere. It didn't have a specific area. It happened a lot of times when I get out the shower. So they thought, okay, well, maybe you're taking too hot of a shower, and even with cold showers, it would still do it. So it doesn't have a specific spot. It does it all over.
Wow. Okay, so the first doctor you saw attention was a primary care physician, or who did you see first?
I believe it was a primary care. I was younger back then. But I do believe it was a primary care, and then they referred me to dermatologist.
Okay, that sounds about right. Okay, so you saw the dermatologist, and then the dermatologist was the one that ordered the biopsy?
Yes, I actually had like 12 to 15 biopsies.
Oh my God! Oh my goodness!
Scars from all over.
Oh my goodness!
Because the thing with lupus, it's not like you have to catch it at a certain time, at a certain point, when it's like really active. That's the time that it's going to show up on blood work.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Let's talk about that. Stop for 1 second. So I want the audience to understand that, because we're hearing it as well. Sometimes people can get blood work and the blood work comes up negative for certain disorders, and that's also very frustrating, because now they're having a record that nothing's wrong, that they can pinpoint anyway. So what Tatyana is saying is very on point, that it has to be caught at a certain period of time. Okay, so here we go. We go into the dermatologist. We have all these biopsies, which is absolutely crazy for you to have gone through that. Do you remember about when you got a diagnosis of lupus?
I want to say, because we came down here when I was going to 6th grade, so I want to say I was around 7th grade.
That you got the diagnosis?
The official
diagnosis. Okay, that was pretty fast, then, considering. I know that sounds like wasn't fast for you, but there's some people that actually have told me there's been more than a few years go by before they get a diagnosis. So that's pretty fast, considering. Okay, so you got
lupus one.
So that's the lupus one. Okay, I got you. So talk to me then. After you got the diagnosis with lupus, were you referred to another specialist, or you were still under just a dermatologist's care?
They referred me to the rheumatologist, but they never put me on. I was never on any medicine until a couple of years ago.
What?
So we don't, that's one thing that we don't understand.
Wow.
I was never on medicine.
Wow. Okay, my goodness. Okay, that's something we definitely got to address at some point. So the dermatologist had the biopsy, you had a diagnosis, and you were never diagnosed. So when you sent to the rheumatologist, when was you first sent to the rheumatologist? You remember that?
It was probably about 6 or 7 months later.
Okay.
After I got the diagnosis, just trying to get an appointment in with them.
Right. Exactly. That's definitely the situation. Yeah. So you got the appointment of the rheumatologist. So they don't never. You said they never prescribe anything.
No, I guess because they figure, well, you're in sports, you're going to deal with pain. You're young, you can get over it.
Wow. Yeah.
They never put me on anything.
So what else happened with the lupus? Was it just the skin problem? What else? What other symptoms were you having? Do you remember?
A lot of pain, like to where it's hard to walk, it's hard to even get out of bed, especially like with the sun, because we're not really supposed to stay in the sun that long.
Okay.
In the sun a lot, I get the skin rash will happen, but I'm just very fatigued. Tired.
Yeah, fatigued. Yeah.
Like I cannot wake up.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So did you continue to do sports throughout high school, or would you have to modify? You did. So how did you have to modify that? Because you're telling me that you would have these periods where you would get so fatigued, and so you have so much pain and fatigue. So how did you go through that? How did you continue with the sports? Or what made you want to continue this way?
I was just like, because I wanted to do something. I didn't want to just be the kid that just doesn't do anything. So I just had to basically just push through it, take Tylenol, or, I poke in here and there. Yeah. I just had to figure it out because I love sports.
Wow. I'm glad at least you did get to do some of the things you wanted to do regardless, you know what I'm saying? So I really give you credit for that. So did your peers, were they aware what you were dealing with?
No. And a lot of it, of course, nobody understood back then. Everybody thought, even family members, everybody thought, you're young, you're just playing, you're just trying to get medicine, you're not hurting that bad. There's no way. Yeah. In middle school, there's no way you could be hurting that bad and you haven't gotten in a car accident or major happening. Exactly.
You hear that one a lot too?
I still hear it.
Wow. That is unfortunate. I tell you, that is. That's why I'm frustrated. That's why I got to get that out there. Yeah. And people have their opinion, you know what I'm saying? Everyone's going to have to put their opinion out there, So maybe some of the suggestions that because I've heard some crazy suggestions that people have given, especially younger people. So what would be some of the suggestions they would give you to deal with everything? What would they say?
For dealing with the pain?
Yeah, whatever you're going through. What would be some of the suggestions that some of the family members or peers would say to you?
Well, family members first, they would just be like, no, you just want to be lazy. You can't be lazy. And they say, you just need to get up and go through it. As far as like peers, they were like, oh, well, no, you just don't. The days that I was just like too tired to hang out, you just don't like us. You just don't want to hang out with us.
Oh, I got you. I
suggest you go get more friends or go find somebody else that's going to put up with you and your. Everybody thought I had an attitude.
Oh.
Somebody's going to put up with your attitude. No, it's not an attitude. It's very frustrating when just nobody believes you.
Yeah.
Don't believe what you're going through.
Exactly. Wow, so sorry for that. Okay, so here we go. We finally get a diagnosis. We finally go through all your teen years. You're trying to do sports. And I have on record here that you also have misconnected tissue and interstitial lung disease. So when did those diagnoses come about?
They officially came about a couple years ago. But from my primary care and my pulmonologist, the pulmonary doctor, I actually had interstitial lung disease when I was a teenager.
Wow.
And it was on my record, but they never said anything.
Interesting.
My lungs just kept getting worse and worse. And once lung function damage is done, you can't reverse it.
Exactly. Exactly. So when you first got to the pulmonologist, and I know you may not know the exact dates, but give me some idea when it was and how what type of testing did they do to realize how much lung function you had lost? Can you tell us about that?
It's 2024, so it's probably around 2020, maybe 2021. When I first started seeing the pulmonary doctor, And the test that they do is a lot of the stress tests, the breathing tests that they kind of do with little kids where you got to blow out all the candles.
Mm-hmm.
They do a lot of this, like, breathing tests.
I want everybody just stop for 1 second. So what the audience to realize, she's talking about spirometry, and we'll talk more about that. That's what they're talking about. They're trying to get her to blow and to see in the registers how much lung capacity she has. And also to the stress test is the put you on. Did they do an actual treadmill for you, or did they put monitors on you while you were doing it, things like that?
We tried to do the treadmill at first, but with the pain, I wasn't able to do it. So then we just did 6-minute walk. Or it was one test where they put the monitors on you and they give you an injection of, I think, like a lot of caffeine to see how it reacts when you breathe and stuff.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. Usually people who have arthritis or any type of joint problems that cannot withstand the treadmill or that type of stress on the joints, they would then elicit some type of medication to get you to bring about just an increased heart rate or whatever, and see how you respond to it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we finally the pulmonologist looks at all these results, and then you said the pulmonary doctor finally came to the conclusion that you must have had this going on for a while. So then what did they do as an intervention at that point once they figured that out?
They put me on a few medicines, and then they were supposed to, I guess, steady out the lung function so that it won't get worse. It was it's a drug called microventilate, which a lot of transplant recipients get.
And do me a favor, just spell that, because the audience has no idea what that is, and I have to be able to document that. So spell that for us, please.
So the microventilate, I don't know how to spell that whole word, but the other name for it is Cellcept.
Okay, so
CELLCEPT.
CELLCEPT.
PT. P as in Paul, T as in Tom.
Okay. So make sure I got this right. CELLCEPT.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay. All right. So you said they use that for people who have lung transplants as well, you said?
From my understanding, they give it to anybody that has any type of transplant, and it helps the body not reject.
Okay. I got you. So in other words, probably trying to reserve the lung tissue that we do have to prevent it from. I got you. I understand it now. I understand. Okay, so all right. So we got the pulmonologist, we got rheumatology, and was cardiology involved as well?
Yes.
Okay.
I had to go see them.
Okay. So you're on that. So talk to me. I mean, you're dealing with a lot. So do we actually go through college? Do we still try to work? How did you survive financially? What do we do?
So before disability, I was still, trying to work, trying to push through everything. But when COVID hit, everybody was getting their temperatures taken. But since my body, lupus is basically your body's fighting itself. So you kind of always have fevers and stuff like that. So when COVID came around, working, you have to get your temperature taken.
Yeah.
I couldn't come to work because my temperature was always high.
Wow.
And then I didn't have insurance. So I would try to work long enough at a job to get the insurance, but with the pain, I would be calling out or not going to work.
Wow.
So I never got to the 90-day period to where I can get insurance.
Wow.
It's very hard.
Yeah, it's very
hard.
Yeah. So I'm so sorry. So did you finally you were struggling financially, so how did you survive? Did you have the help of parents, or how did you survive financially then?
Yes, my parents had to help.
Yeah, okay. All right, so when did you start applying for the process of disability, and did that go through smoothly for you? When did that happen?
My mom actually started applying for it before I was 18 because she was in the military, and it can kind of speed up the process if they apply for it for their dependent that has those problems.
Okay.
But that never went through.
Wow.
So I started applying, I would say around 2020, around the same time, finally figured out I just can't work.
So that was about, did you start applying during COVID, or was it before COVID, or after COVID?
Yes, I started applying during COVID.
During COVID, okay. That's great. That was probably interesting to apply during COVID, with everything not being up and running. So did you get denied the first time, or did you get it officially the first time as soon as you applied? When you actually applied, did you get it the first time?
I applied about 4 or 5 times, and I got denied each and every time. We did the appeals, and they still denied me. So finally, I was just like, you know what? I got to get a lawyer. I didn't want to get the lawyer because I wanted all the money to come to me.
Yeah,
I honestly didn't want to pay anybody.
Yeah.
I had to because I kept getting denied.
And what were some of the reasons for the denial? Do you remember?
They would always say no, insufficient evidence, or not enough evidence of basically it being a disability. But if you Google, like, the main, I don't know how I'm trying to, the ones that automatically get accepted for disability, lupus is one of them, fibromyalgia is another one, interstitial lung disease is another one, and mixed connective tissue. They're on the list for automatic approval, but they kept denying me.
Kept denying, yeah. And was it ever brought to your attention, maybe it was because you have color? Did anybody ever point that out to you or make that statement to you at any point?
Yes, when I got the lawyer, she was like, yeah, if you would have kept going, you're still going to get denied. 1, because of your race, and 2, I'm a female, and 3, because of my age. She said, when we first talked to her, she said, you're still going to get denied the first time, but after we do the appeal, it's going to get approved. But she said she doesn't know why, but they automatically deny everybody the first time.
Interesting. Wow. Interesting. Okay. So how long have you been on disability now? It's been a couple of years now, or that'd be?
Just about 3 years.
3 years now, finally. Well, good. I think you finally got that through. So that's great. That's crazy. Yeah, finally got that through. Okay, so we already dealt with the fact that we've had problem with disability. Finally dealt with the fact that you've had diagnoses that were on record and you were not ever treated for. We got that down. We got the fact that you had to deal with peers, you had to deal with family. We got all these things down. So how did you deal with? I'm quite sure that bothered you psychologically in your mind and your. How did you deal with that? What got you through those days that you felt down and out? What got you through that? How did you deal with that?
I did go through severe depression just because I couldn't work. I couldn't, do what I wanted to do with sports and stuff. Relationships didn't last, whether friendship or, a boyfriend or whatever. Those didn't last because it's like you make plans and then that day you get sick, so you have to cancel.
Yeah.
So it's very depressing. But I think the main thing that kind of helped me was because I have a daughter. Okay. And I had my daughter kind of around the same time that I was dealing with all of this. So I think that's the main thing that actually helped me get through it, because it's like, hey, I got to be here for my child now.
So let's talk about that, because they even talk about when you have children, how much more, because I've been pregnant 4 times, and I know how hard it was for me to be pregnant. I don't have any autoimmune disease. So how old were you when you got pregnant with your daughter? How old were you then?
I want to say 19. I had her at 20, and I turned 21 right after I had her.
So
I guess 19-ish.
Okay, so did you see any problems with, and I'm quite sure you had an OBGYN, so did you see any problems with carrying her or delivery with her? Did the OBGYN comment at all with you having to that process with her, with you having a diagnosis? Because you had lupus already diagnosed at that point, okay?
Yes.
So what was talked about with you being pregnant? Would that conversation come up at all? Can you share with that?
Yes, so when I went to the OB, they automatically told me it's going to be a high-risk pregnancy just because of the lupus and everything. So I was seeing her around. It started out like 3 times a week, and then it went down to twice a week. Okay. And then closer to me giving birth, it went back up to the 3 times a week. But surprisingly, I didn't have any like, from the lupus standpoint, I didn't have any symptoms. It was just The only symptom that I really had was like a puffy face, but I just figured that was, weight gain from being pregnant.
So that's interesting because I have heard that too. I've heard that people have said that they kind of go into remission when they get pregnant. I've seen both things happen. I've seen people that have gone into remission when they got pregnant and had the child, and I've seen people say they got worse. So it sounds like you were one of those ones that you went into a little bit of a remission type of stage.
Yes.
Oh, wow, that's interesting. So after you had her, because she's about 7 now, 8 now, is that how?
She just turned 8.
Yes. I'm quite sure she's a good girl. I'm quite sure you're glad to have her. I can feel you smiling through the phone with that, so I'm happy to hear that. So when did your symptoms for fibromyalgia and lupus get more after you had her? Or?
It actually did because I breastfed her.
Wow.
And they were telling me that it was putting a lot of, I guess, stress on my body, which made it come back active.
I got you.
Yes.
Wow, that's interesting. But you breastfed her like how many months? Did you cut it short because of that, or?
It was only about 6 or 7 months, and then my body just stopped producing the milk. I wanted to go as long as I could, so I guess that worked. That's still a long time. I mean, that's still, for you to have been able to breastfeed her for 6 months, that's still a long time. That's good that you had to do that. And is she healthy? Does she have any problems at all? No, not that we know of. That's a blessing. She doesn't have anything. She doesn't complain because, of course, we're keeping a close eye on her. Make sure she don't complain about pain and stuff. Right. What's going on with her? Because if she does, we're running straight to the doctor. Exactly. It's fine. We praise God for that. We're going to thank God that she continues to be okay with that too. Yeah. Okay. So let's try to land this plane. You've got a lot going on here. So let's talk about, okay, if you had the ability, if somebody would say, okay, Tatyana, you get to decide some things and make some things change, what would be some things that you would, whether you want to speak to the medical professionals, whether you want to speak to your family, to peers, what would be some of the things that you want to be able to say to bring about some change? What would you say? Especially to the medical profession, listen to your patients. Not every patient is the same. And you can't just assume that just because I'm a young Black female that I feel no pain. Yeah. We're all human. We all feel the same type of pain. Some get more pain than others. You can't always necessarily see pain on somebody. Yes. Just because we're not hollering and falling on the floor, that doesn't mean that we're not in pain. Exactly. That's very good. And the another question I'm throwing out there, I mean, this one is probably kind of morbid, but I think it's very good to sum up about who a person is. I'm asking you if, we had to put an epitaph on your tombstone, what would it say, what would define or kind of sum up who you are, what your thought processes were. For example, my brother, he had an autoimmune disorder, and he was in chronic pain, and he's all going on to heaven now, but he would always say, grace and peace, dear ones. He was a bishop, and he would always say, it's just nice to be nice. That was him. If you heard that, you knew that was my brother, So what would define you? What would be probably on your epitaph? What would be your philosophy? I honestly have not thought about that. I want you to think about it. It is a good question. Yeah. Actually, the first person honestly asked me about that. I've never. I've always said if it does come to the point, I want to go peacefully. I don't want all the extra things to keep me going. Yeah, like all the extra work. Just let me go peacefully. Yeah. So, what would you say? How would you describe you though, if we were to talk about you? What would be said about you or how you felt about life? What would you say? What would be your philosophy? I'm a very loving person. So I guess I love everybody. And so you give me a reason not to. Yeah. I'm always smiling, so I'm always happy. Just definitely a fighter. Especially dealing with all this, I have no choice but to fight. Yeah. So give me a statement now. You saying a lot of good stuff, but you gotta give me a statement because I really have the proper title for your chapter. I don't want to put words in your mouth. So what would you say? What would be your? I honestly don't know. I'm gonna give you. It's actually pretty hard. I'm gonna give you a couple minutes. I'm gonna give you some more examples of some other people. I don't want you to take theirs, but I've had somebody say, never give up, stay encouraged even through the tears. I've had somebody say, I just want to love and be loved.
I always say it is what it is. That's mine. I'm telling you, it is what it is. I say that a lot. But what would be yours, Tatyana? What would you say?
Funny because that's my thing. Like even when I'm in the hospital, I'm like, it is what it is. They're like, oh, you got to do this. Okay, it is what it is.
You say that too, huh?
But let's see. I guess I fight to the end. I'm a fighter to the end. I guess something like that.
Mm-hmm. I'm a fighter to the end. I'm a fighter to the end. Okay, I'm
I will fight till the end.
Okay. I will fight until the end. Okay, all right. If you come up with something else, you can always text me. But I'm gonna put that. I'm gonna put that down tonight. For now, I'll fight to the end. Or I'm a fighter to the end. I'm a fighter to the end. Okay. All right. Anything else you want to sum up and to close out? To any other things you want to say that you think is pertinent? Like I said, we might have to call upon you a little bit later on when we start to get more into the racial disparities that we feel might be evident. The disability system, we might have to call you more about that one too. But anything else you want to leave with us or anything you want to say?
Just for other people, just listen to your body. Your body's always going to tell you when something's wrong.
Okay. Got you, girl. Thank you so much for your time, okay? And continue to fight. Continue to be happy. Continue to smile. I feel your smile. I feel your peace. I feel your peace. I feel that. It comes across. Okay? God bless you. Thank you so much. Have a blessed one, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye-bye now.
So some of the recommendations, and I'm going to just give you some at this point. Remember now, I'm not trying to come off to be very simplistic in nature because we know that these things are very complicated. Anybody who has autoimmune disorders, they can pretty much tell you that it's not so simple as just doing X, Y, and Z. But I am going to give you some recommendations. Some of the recommendations that studies have proven are, first of all, decrease your exposure to smoking is absolutely no smoking. Another one is to eat plenty of fruits and vegetables to decrease your sugar intake, the toxicity of things out there. So avoiding definitely a lot of exposure to toxins. The next thing is that's been researched that has been proven out there is that definitely not being around a lot of people with a lot of different infections because that you are more prone to have a lower ability to fight because your immune system is definitely compromised. Another thing is to understand that vaccination is still very much a good way to go for most people. So these are some of the recommendations. Another one out there is definitely decrease the moderation of alcohol intake. So, and keep a healthy weight as much as possible. So these are just some of the recommendations. Please take these with a grain of salt. Apply it to your lifestyle as much as you can. And as I mentioned earlier, we know that I'm not trying to be simplistic because there are just so many things that people with this, and you're going to see that over and over again, what they have to contend with and how they handle it. I thank you again for attending the session today, and we will be back next episode and bring on some more guests. Talk to you soon. Thank you for tuning in today at Let's Achieve Change. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You will find out more about Metanoia Education and Wellness Center on our website at changeachieve.com. We welcome your questions and your feedback. Please feel free to fill out the form on the website and we will contact you directly. I pray that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. Remember, it's all about the change. Thank you.